Yes, sir.
At the club where I direct, we have a major problem with scoring errors. I mean, people write anything and everything on, and I'm not talking about 4 hearts by South when it was really north. I'm talking about wrong line, and all the east-west players follow suit. And I'm
You use
talking,
Travelers,
just
right?
to let you know, it's between 7 and 25, yes, Travelers, 7 and 25 scoring errors per game, which wears me out. How do you handle that?
Well, I was a club director back in the 60s, and by the way, I'd like to say, the difficulty of running a club is far greater than the difficulty of running a tournament. It's much easier to run a tournament than to run a club. And having to listen to Mabel say, "Oh, Jack is so terrible, he is just awful. No, I won't play with that person. How can you suggest I would play with that person?" And so forth and so on. Those are problems that tighten my gut. I hate those things, and you guys have to put up with them all the time. So my hat's off to you. You got a tough job. How to handle the traveler problem. I don't think there is a way, really.
Wouldn't that be a case where pickups and a non-playing director would be a lot simpler to handle it?
Yeah.
Because you're getting the scores as you're getting them in, and people aren't going, they can't end up on the wrong line.
Well, in the World Championships, well, they
can.
They still make mistakes.
Not that many.
But not that many.
They say 3 spades down 1, and they give themselves the score, or they
Yeah, right.
make a vulnerability error, or so forth. And those are the things that
Sure.
the director looks at to try and catch. In the World Championships in Montreal in 2002, we used Travelers. A World Championship. And what made it worse was they were the 2-4. So that the theory was that the people who were going to be doing the scoring would come through at the end of round 7 and take the top form, and then they'd input that, and the rest of the score they'd get at the end of the game and input the other 6 rounds. Well, a lot of players lifted up the top copy and wrote their score on the bottom copy, and then put it back down and sent it on to they thought it was a security measure, I guess. So they sent it on to the next table. Now the next table saw the blank line above the one who had put it there earlier, so they wrote right over the people who had written underneath. That was a mess. But I don't know, other than bridge players are concentrating on playing bridge. They didn't come to concentrate on minutia. Now, you don't think it's minutia. I don't think it's minutia because that's part of our job. But to them, it's a detail. They want to get to the pasteboard. They don't care about these scores. So I don't, unless you can identify 2 or 3 people who do it all the time, and then you say, okay, come early next week, we're going to have a little class, and give them special attention. Group announcements don't work. You have to go to the source, to the root of the problem, and say, this is happening, and it's creating disruptions, slowing down the scores. You get your scores later because you haven't been careful about doing the score system. So that might help, but it takes a personal approach, which is the same thing I suggested with going through your section and saying, folks, you're a little behind, you need to zip along or pick up your pace or whatever catchphrase you use to encourage people to move on. You don't have to be nasty about it, just P&P, persistent and patient. Yes, sir.
I don't think I've ever told an east-west pair to speed up their play that they didn't say, well, it's not our fault. What do you think of the idea of the club manager putting out a notice saying that we will give a 2-minute warning before the round, and you do not start a new board after the 2-minute warning? You think that would help?
Well, Do you have clocks in your game? I would say clocks would be the biggest help. And I would also, see, some people can play a hand in 2.5, 3 minutes. So it's sort of arbitrary to say to a person, especially somebody who's generally a fast player. Maybe that person's opponent has taken 8 or 9 minutes, 10 minutes on the first board, and so now they had to wait to come to the table, so now suddenly they feel like they're being punished. So it's certainly a possibility, but I much prefer going through and telling the people, speed it up, rather than saying they can't start a new board. Giving a 2-minute announcement is fine. That helps them pick up their pace, but I would tend to let them start the board, unless a pair is perpetually slow, and then you might say, okay, I'm going to award an average plus to your opponents and average minus to you because you were at fault in this situation.
Charlie, can you give a little bit about behavioral and ethical problems, and which ones are club owners' problems and which ones should come to the unit?
Well, in my experience, there have been very, very few cheats in the ACBL. We have every month the tournament directors get a list of the people who have been suspended or who are on probation, and most of those are because of money things. They have bad checks outstanding. They haven't paid their fees. Club owners haven't paid their fees, or things like that. And the number of people who have been expelled for cheating are less than a dozen, and that's over however long we've been keeping the records, 50, 60 years. And so one of the things about cheating in bridge, you always know if the bidding goes a club pass, a heart pass, and now I sit and think, well, one of two things. Either I don't have a stopper in the other major and I want to raise partner, but I only have 3. Or you've gotten some new information that you need to process, because every reasonably experienced player has planned out their auction. If I bid a club and my partner bids a diamond, I do this, I do the heart, I do this, I do the spade, I do this, no trump, so forth, because that keeps the game going in tempo, and you'll have problems later on, but the first round or so of bidding, you should plan ahead. Also, when somebody does something extraordinary, for example, one hand I remember hand had queen and 1, king, queen, 4th, ace 4th, ace 3rd. And he opened a no trump. And it went past. His partner transferred with 2 diamonds, and his right-hand opponent bid 2 spades. So he bid 3 hearts. His left-hand opponent bid 3 spades. His partner bid 4 hearts, and it went 4 spades, and he doubled. That, to me, is extraordinary action. However, guess what he led? He led the ace of clubs and played a club. His partner ruffed. He led a diamond. His partner led a diamond back to his ace, and he led another club for down 1. Something's going on there. So there are usually clues, and you do this often enough, and people start talking, and then that sort of percolates up. I would, if you suspect something like that is going on with a couple in in your club, that's a difficult thing, I think, for a club to handle. What I would do is I would try and get somebody higher up to be handling this. The unit may be